Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we're returning to Voice of Baceprot, which is a band we've seen a couple of tracks from and also looked at a couple of interviews of theirs over on the other channel. Today we're going to be looking at a track off their album Retas, which is considered an excellent album by a number of critics. The song is Not Public Property. And just going by the lyric sheet, which I happen to take a look at, it's clear that they are the public property of which they speak. They are not public property, like their bodies are not public property. So, Adrian, we've seen them a couple times in the past. We saw their song PMS, and we saw them do Enter Sandman live. Yeah, what's your general impression?
These women are great at what they do, rock and roll, I guess.
Yeah, I like them. They've got a very muscular metal sound, and they're pretty small, just stature-wise, so it's kind of funny but good. Watch them wield so much electric power in their instruments. So some of the songs that they did on this album, they were quite young for, but this one is from March of 2022, so not that long ago, but I think they're still probably about 17 to 18 years old, so we'll just keep that in mind as we watch this. All right. Okay. Let's check it out, and we will discuss afterwards. All right.
Okay.
Wow, pretty wild. Yeah. What'd you think, Adrian?
This song has a message. The first verse seems to focus on a girl who is raped. She lost her trust to the world and to the source of her love, where did the kind angel go when she needed it so bad? And then there's the phenomenon of victim blaming mentioned here too. The angel is gone, but I won't be silent when she's blamed.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think maybe you kind of pegged it there. Definitely standing up and saying, this is baloney. What are you talking about with all this? Like we can wear what we want and we don't need to get violated because of that. It's not going to be our fault. Don't be silly, kind of a thing.
Yeah, the chorus, our body is not public property, is a pretty clear, self-explanatory message.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about all the timing going on in there too?
The timing, oh yeah, the odd time signatures and stuff during
for that particular message. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has a right to live safely is a right, common, and I think important sentiment. Having grown up as a boy in the U.S., we were taught to take this idea as a given.
Yeah.
And, but people sometimes forget that, probably because it's so heavily implied here that it's just taken for granted. But even here in America, it seems kind of different for girls.
Yeah, there's lots of victim blaming. There's always somebody ready to blame the victim for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. It is what it is. It's part of humanity, I think. It's one of those things you have to keep fighting back on. Now, as for the actual music they were creating, I was really pretty intrigued by some of the things that came up for me. I thought maybe a hint of Faith No More, particularly from the early 90s. Minutemen came to mind during the solo, the guitar solo, because it had the very funky bass line, which was something that they had. They had Mike Watt, very funky bass player. And then it sounded like she was doing a D. Boone solo almost, because it was a little bit atonal or off, on a different key than the bass as it was playing. So it just sounded very much like one of those records that the Minutemen made. Also, I think Soundgarden kind of sounded a little bit like Chris Cornell type stuff going on in some of it as well. And there were others. I mean, there were quite a number of influences that went by on me. It was like, that. And those are just the ones that I can grab and remember right now. Very inventive. They create a palette, that they can draw from that comes from many different sources. And they create this very effective sounding song. Sounded effective to me anyway. I mean, I would notice. Certainly a good subject matter, one of those things that needs to be reiterated pretty much regularly throughout life. So that's great. Good on them for that. And of course, remember at this point, they're probably all not more than 18 years old. And maybe less, maybe 17, 16. I'm not exactly sure. Something like that. Because they're still quite young today. I don't think they could get into a bar and drink today in the United States. Maybe one of them could. So, I mean, and they worked on this album for something like 8 years. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's a colossal effort. 8 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were growing up too. Like I say, they're young. This is kind of their artistic statement at the moment. I think it's their only album out still at the moment, but I would fully expect that there's going to be more. And it'll probably come faster, assuming, because it seems like they're getting some success. Fascinating band, and it's great how they stand up and they're like, like this song all the time. They got a chip on their shoulders, which is great. I love seeing it.
I agree. I mean, they're sending a clear message. They're being kind of in your face about it, which is a good thing because some people need that kind of thing in their face.
That's true. Definitely thumbs up on this one. Enjoyed this song. Hoping it gets past the blocking. I'm pretty sure it will. There was a whole incident. Apparently they had a dispute with a record label or something that then went to put their videos on another channel and they had to be yanked down by force. And so now it makes it a little trickier to react. But I think we'll be okay with this. Fingers crossed. And if so, we might even go back and see if there are others that we can do that maybe I wasn't as sure about before. But folks, why don't you let us know what you thought of this video. If you've ever heard the song before, what you think in general of it, music or lyrics. Tell us what you think of the band if this is the first time you've heard them. I mean, growing up in Indonesia, it's these young women making this incredible metal sound and making these statements is pretty cool. But yeah, give your thoughts. If you have other suggestions, you can leave those below as well. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed the presentation, please subscribe. All right, thanks so much for joining us today. And we'll catch you on the next one. All right, take care, folks.
See you later.